Welcome to this week's episode of Back to the City. Today I'm very excited to be joined by my good friend KATY TESSMAN. Welcome, KATY.
Hi, Simon.
We're going to be focusing mostly on your new record, Fly. I really love the new record. I love the artwork. John Hunt is behind this cover art, and it turns out to be the case. A lot of my favorite artwork that I experience with Back to the City guests comes back to John Hunt. How did you and John end up landing on this image here of is it a crow?
A raven, yep.
A raven, okay, so this is a raven, and on the back, of course, you have this red dress. The red is in the beak of the raven as well. How did the two of you and John land on this?
Well, John and I went to high school together, so we've known each other for a very long time, and we've known each other since our very vulnerable years of being 15, 16, 17 years old.
Yes.
And I called him up and said, I need cover art, and I'm struggling doing it myself with a photograph. And I shared the 9 songs with him. 24 hours later, he came back with that.
Wow.
And I was just amazed, and it was just, you know, all the planets were in a line that he would be able to hear all the songs because they're all represented in that album cover.
What are some of the features?
Well, from the raven carrying the red ribbon to the bare trees and the partly cloudy sky, yet there's blue. It just really encompasses the whole feeling of the album.
And those are all lyrics. It's referencing...
In a way referencing the lyrics. So it's 9 songs that are all about discovering yourself and rejuvenation, dealing with some really tough things. And so the bare trees shows sort of the feeling empty, yet the raven, who is the creator, is spreading some beauty across the sky.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really, really pleased with what he did with the archway looking out the window, and then seeing a lot of things out the window between the raven and the bare trees and the ribbon.
I love it too. Something that really struck me as interesting and that I'm excited to talk about in relation to the sequencing of the record is that it begins with this, well, the opening line introduces an I and an it, and then throughout the record we have these shifting I's and it's. So I can knock it down, cut it back, I can try, but it will always reach for the sky. So that's the opening lyric.
Yep.
And so here, the I is positioned as something that could attempt to impede the emergence, the evolution, the growth of this it.
Yes.
Okay. And then by the very end, in the final track, Tulips and Daffodils. Tulips and daffodils will come next spring, but I will cut them all because you won't be here to sing. So it returns to this image of me, cutting. I can cut it back, I can try, but it will always reach for the sky. So let's begin with that. There's other components that get woven into this, and the I and the it show up in different ways. But the record begins and ends with this image of me cutting it back. At the beginning, when I cut it back, it grows anyway.
Yep.
At the end, I will cut the tulips and daffodils because you won't be here to sing. And there isn't the same emphasis on them growing back anyway, perhaps. But what are your immediate thoughts on this imagery of, like, I can cut, I will cut at the beginning and at the end?
Well, first of all, Simon, the way you look at words and poetry is wonderful. you can see into an artist's soul deeper than anyone I know. That is really, really cool.
Thank you very much. That's
and
one of my favorite things to do.
Yes, that I love to analyze. And I haven't analyzed these songs and this collection that deeply. So this conversation is really cool.
I thought I'd just go for the jugular
Yes,
with this one.
this is great.
Because had you noticed that this imagery of I can cut being in the opening and the closing track?
No, but I think deep down I
Yes, of
knew
course.
it was there.
It's not coincidence.
Yeah.
It's there, and that's always with these conversations. My favorite moments are when the artist and I discover, okay, that's obviously there.
Yes.
And no, it wasn't consciously there, but that makes it more interesting. So what do you make of the
Yes.
fact that it begins and ends with I can cut, and it begins with, at the beginning, there's this kind of moral, yes, I can try and cut, but it's going to grow anyway.
It will grow back.
And it will emerge and it will fly.
Yep.
The fact that this it is what's in the first song in Vines, the it is what will fly, and I am the thing that could stop it flying.
Yep.
Of course, then in other moments in the record, we get to participate in flying in the sense of flourishing and soaring.
Yes.
And so it's not, we don't just remain the thing that could stop the flying from happening.
Right. The beginning is trying to control something.
Yes.
But you can't control it.
Yes.
And it is love.
Yes.
You cannot control love.
Okay.
All the kinds of love. The love you have for your partner, the love you have for your parents, the love that you have for your children, the love that you have for your dear friends. You can't control it.
It's
And
very
you can
interesting,
try.
yeah.
And we do make mistakes, but love always comes back around.
It does.
Yep.
I love that that's what the it is, because part of why I love why that's what the it is because you are a regular participant in the same songwriting challenge that Sarah Morris does, and that for one round so far I also participated in. And the reason why I bring that up now is that I found myself, it's I and it.
Yes, yes.
I found myself, in response to the same prompts, writing a bunch of songs to do with love, where it is the same. So in response, for example, to the prompt spread. So we both wrote songs in response to the prompt spread. And I found myself writing a song about how love will spread, essentially, if I am not interfering and trying to control the energy. So it's the same. It's the same message.
It's the
That's
same
interesting.
message.
Yeah, and one of the songs from that same songwriting challenge that led to the collection of songs Hum that I'm going to put out with my book about creativity eventually. One of my songs was written in response to the prompt Implore, which is one of the songs on Fly.
Yep, the last song, Tulips and Daffodils,
is in response
it's from
to
the
Implore.
prompt word implore.
Okay, so let's focus on Tulips and Daffodils and those two features of it to begin with. The fact that it's in response to the prompt Implore, and that it also features this...
The cutting.
The cutting, and there perhaps, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this sense that it would be foolish to cut. It's not like you haven't learned a lesson.
No,
The cutting is, it's okay to cut some things.
Yes. Well, we all feel comfortable when we're controlling whatever the situation is. Being in control, it just feels so good. And when life gives you something that makes you feel completely out of control, you look at ways to see how you can control it.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
We do.
Yeah, or denial, which is a very comfortable place to be in too. So the last song on my album, Tulips and Daffodils, is about grief. The deepest sorrow that you could feel, losing your child. And I received a bookmark from my auntie when I was in the thick of fighting breast cancer. And it was a poem that was a little piece that said, "You can cut the flowers, but you can't stop spring from coming. And that filled me with so much hope. I still think about receiving that in the mail. I got a lot of things in the mail, but that one bookmark, I don't even think that she did anything else. I think it was just in an envelope, and which was a little off character for her. But she knew that the message was what she wanted to say.
Very succinct.
Yes.
She'd like picked that, like picking a flower, essentially. This is the thing. This is what I want to gift
And I
you.
received it in February, right in the height of recovering from my mastectomy, in the middle of my chemotherapy, and it was
Is
a
this
very intense
2010 by this point?
Yes, it was 2010 by
because
that
you're diagnosed with breast cancer in 2009.
Yep.
And just to provide a little bit more context, Fly is the first album that you've released after a long break from putting out music, which began when you became a mother. 2001, is that correct? The last release? So then you're taking a break from putting out music to be a mother. 2009, by that point you have 2 sons and you're diagnosed with breast cancer and you're 39 at that point.
Yeah.
And then I have 2 books on my lap. One of them is out recently, this year. And it relates to, you have a song called Hero Now Crowned. But this is a kind of a partner.
It's the accompanying lyric picture book.
Yes.
Yes.
And then this book is now a decade old.
Yes, it
2013 is when it first comes out. And it is kind of a collaboration between you and your 2 kids, insofar as it's told from the perspective of the 2 kids and relates to this period that you're talking about now, 2009, the diagnosis, and then, now please continue with your story, but back in 2010.
Yes. So when I graduated from college in '92, I picked up the guitar and started learning songs by the Indigo Girls and 10,000 Maniacs. And I formed a band called Joe's Elevator, and we released an album in '97. Then, soon after, we broke up. Studio experiences are intense.
Yes.
They are. And
I think that the activities that one has to do to document there being a band can often be the agitating experiences that are the demise of that collection of humans.
Very, very tricky.
Co-creating.
Yeah. And then I decided to continue with a solo singer-songwriter career. And then in 2001, I released my debut album called Fall. And it has 11 songs. And I did 2 different tours out to Seattle and then out to Sault Ste. Marie, from the top of Minnesota to the bottom of Minnesota. I did that. So my music career was about a decade long. And then in 2003, my first son was born. And then 2006, my second son was born.
Okay, and the names of the sons?
Lewis and Maxwell.
And Lewis is quite prominent on Fly.
He is.
Which is a lovely twist.
Yes.
Playing
I took
a
a 20-year break from making music. And it was the pandemic in 2020. We all know where we were, March of 2020. Lewis, my older son, was a junior in high school taking band. And he said, I don't want to do percussion distance learning. How about you teach me how to play your guitar, Mom? Okay, that sounds like a good idea. And during the 20 years, I did a variety of things, from raising my kids to fighting breast cancer and publishing the book. But I taught early childhood music, and I would play the guitar once in a while, but nothing like now. My younger son, Maxwell, when the pandemic hit, he started to produce music using FL Studios. And so he started releasing songs with people he's collaborated with all over the country.
Wow.
And he's got a good friend he's made through Discord that is a year older than him, and they've released an album, and it's getting really good traction.
Wow, what a wonderful thing to do during this time of social
Very proud of
distancing,
him.
to collaborate
Yeah.
with people from, one doesn't need to be in the same room as.
Right.
It would be difficult to be in the same room.
Yes, yes. So because my
Pandemic
younger
or no
son
pandemic.
Maxwell was cruising on making music, and my older son Lewis was becoming excellent at guitar,
It sounds like it from
I
the
s-
playing on this record.
yes, I started songwriting again.
Yep.
And then in 2022, I joined the Songwriting Challenge. And then I released a handful of singles, including Hero Now Crowned.
Yep.
And Hero Now Crowned is a love song to all of us who have overcome hardships. So it was as I was looking back at being a decade-long breast cancer survivor, and then paying attention to my friends and my family group, and realizing you don't get through life unscathed.
No.
And those folks that are conquering their addiction, they're heroes. People that are facing their anxiety and depression every day, they're heroes. People who are struggling with grief, they're heroes. And so the song is to let people know that they're a hero now crowned. And the book has illustrated by B.B. Keith, who is a St. Paul artist.
Yep, self-taught.
Yes, self-taught artist, and she's very talented.
I'm a big fan of Joseph Campbell in The Hero's Journey, and I love how this song and this accompanying picture book encourage the reader and the listener to personally relate to and personally own this process of becoming crowned, with the acknowledgement that life is not a fairy tale. Life's not a fairy tale, it says at the bottom of this page. And yet, paradoxically, each of us is on the hero's journey. Each and every one of us is on. And this brings me back to the wisdom. There's a lot of wisdom in that opening lyric, to fly. I can knock it down, cut it back, I can try to not be on the hero's journey. And that could create all kinds of, it could slow the narrative down quite a bit.
Yes.
And as much as I can try to not be on the hero's journey, the universe perhaps will keep on providing material that, if I choose to engage with it, I can find myself crowned through virtue of showing up to and engaging with what's on my path. So the way in which, that's something that, you know, I just think fits with my experience, and I think is true.
Yeah.
But the way in which you communicate that in this very relatable, multi-media way, I think is powerful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your legacy is not the riches you leave behind, you state at the beginning. Your gift is the valuable journey of your life and the wisdom you've gained throughout your personal stumbles and summits. I found that statement about your legacy being not the riches you leave behind, but the journey of your life with all the details. I find that interesting to relate to Treasure Trove. Do you have any thoughts on the relationship between that wisdom and your song, Treasure Trove?
My song, Treasure Trove, is the youngest song on my album, Fly.
Yeah.
And since being diagnosed with breast cancer, I've been thinking a lot about my legacy. And my 2 books and my album is part of my legacy. And I know I'm not going to be leaving behind a big estate that my boys are going to have to fight over. And I think it's really important to have memories and experiences shared. That's where there's richness in life. And my song Treasure Trove was based on the prompt word opulence.
Yes, and it does sound opulent. I love all of the assonance. Dreams can be broken, reminders unspoken. There's as much as there's rhyme, I think a structural feature of the song, the assonance, these like vowel sounds, fits with the idea of opulence, I think.
Yes.
And the delivery in this song, but even more so in one of the others, it will come to me momentarily. In the following song, Echo, sometimes the intentionally kind of drawn out delivery of some of these songs where there's the rich assonance. Figures on the side of the road, feathers feasting as I slow. The lyric is about slowing. And then we have eye contact freezes time, that's faster. So there's this playfulness, and I think when it's slow in both of these songs, there is, for me, you're enjoying the richness of these vowel sounds and the opulence of these vowel sounds. So, and there's the strings, of course, in Treasure Trove too, which adds to that.
Yep.
And the central message in the chorus, in this world of come and go, we found our own treasure trove in this world of come and go. So again, the trials and tribulations, the universe is throwing all kinds of difficult stuff at me. And by engaging with it in a particular way, I discover the opulence of my rich inner life.
Yeah.
And through being part of a family or community that is committed to living in this wholehearted way, then we get to share this treasure trove.
Yes.
That seems to be what the song is conveying to me.
Yep. It was May, near Mother's Day.
Oh, when you were given that prompt,
Yep.
the opulence prompt?
The opulence prompt, and I was feeling lots of love for my mom. I was feeling lots of love from my boys to me, and just feeling there was a treasure trove of family, and I focused on that, and it was really easy to put it together for the record. My producer, Michael Koppelman, he made an arrangement that is very, very powerful.
Yes.
Using strings, Nikki Lemire performs harp and harmonies on the majority of the songs, but on the Treasure Trove, the arrangement is very rich, and I do love singing those vowels. And
yes.
Yeah.
Well, it shows.
Thank you.
It shows. And of course, that reminds me, of course, of Julian Ray with the rich violin, viola, and cello on the opening track.
On the song Vines. Yep, Jillian Ray did that. Yes.
Let's focus a little bit on the arrangement of the songs. Perhaps giving some shout outs to Michael Koppelman here too. Something that struck me about these two songs, Treasure Trove and Echo, is the percussion. Percussion I think comes in after the first chorus, or at least becomes a lot more prominent.
On Treasure Trove, for sure.
Yeah?
Yes.
And then the shaker comes in for the first verse of Echo, which is such an interesting, formally, the fact that it begins with the chorus. So the chorus, the fact that the song begins with the chorus and then the shaker comes in. Do you have, for the first verse, do you have any thoughts about the song structure and the instrumentation, and whether it's the percussion or any other components in these two songs, Treasure Trove and Echo?
Well, my drummer, his name is Kelly Lima, and we also went to high school together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yes.
You lucked out.
And he's amazing.
I'm sure
He's the instructor of the U of M drumline.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Well beloved in the percussion community, that's for sure. And so Treasure Trove starts out very sparse.
Yep.
And then at the chorus, in this world of come and go, we have found our own treasure trove. In this world of come and go. And then we have the full band sound. And so that makes the song more having a heartbeat and more like you could tap your foot to it.
Yeah, that is the treasure trove and the opulence, the fullness. It's interesting that it comes after acknowledging well, we're in the world. It makes me the philosopher Boethius says that we're stuck in the wheel of fortune. Things come and go, and yet there is this philosophical, wise way of living where one cultivates these inner treasures, and the instrumentation demonstrating the possibility, the reality of this fullness.
Yes.
Coming in at that moment.
So Treasure Trove is a very heartfelt, it's an emotional song in its own way. And then Echo is a spooky song.
Yeah.
It's the spooky song on the album.
It is.
And when I was writing it, like a canyon holds an echo, I don't know if I can let go. That chorus, I wanted to repeat it as much as possible, just like an echo. And so that's why I wanted to start with the chorus and then end with the chorus. Yeah. And
Who's playing the lead guitar?
that is my son, Louis.
I thought so.
Yep, Louis TESSMAN Stanek. He's playing lead on that. And then Justin Jacobson is playing steel.
So yeah, particularly, perhaps, is it the bridge? Things are stronger after a fire. That's the bridge, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think that the way in which your son's lead guitar solo evokes the flames growing higher and higher is really beautiful. I was hoping that was your son.
Yes, yes.
It's that's my favorite moment of mother-son collaboration on the record, I think.
Great. Yes, yeah, we're very proud of that song. And Michael did a wonderful job of mixing the two lead parts, the electric guitar and the pedal steel, really almost caused friction of what the emotions are in the song. And the song is about escaping an abusive relationship. And it's,
which is eating away at me in the subtitle to the song.
Yeah.